Brother L Global. Good morning, Grand Rise, Namaste, Hola, Wassalamu alaikum, Salam, Islam, Moors, and greetings to the planet. Um, we're here, man, giving all praises and honors to the Most High, the Almighty God, the Universal Creator, um, and honors to all of His angels, honors to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Welcome. It is breaking news.
To get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse, to get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy.
So it is breaking news everywhere. Um, Over the last couple days, weeks, the last 3 weeks, really the last 8 years, it has been a portal of good intelligence that has caused the mind stimulation, the increase in collective awareness, the increase um, uh, in the collective consciousness, and a spark of will. Right, it's been sparking the will of we the people. It's been uniting and bridging the gap. Right, there was a gap between the birthrights of the American people and the actual American people. And so somebody has separated the consciousness. There was an agenda in place to separate the consciousness of the birthrights of the American people from the American people. So, in that absence, right, we're going to call that a great absence. The American people was asleep. And so, even when they say we're going to end wokeness, it's not. What they did was inverted what it means to be woke, what it means to be conscious, what it means to be present, right? In the civic affairs, in the relations, international, domestic, internal, external, in all directions, in all directions. And so there's a recoupment. There's a recoupment of the right of the birthrights of the American people. There's a recoupment because it was illegally transferred, right? The estate of the American people was illegally transferred. The ownership was illegally transferred in 71, 1871, right? It was illegally transferred in 1913 with the creation of the Federal Reserve. The ownership of the beneficial interest became another entity. It wasn't the American people. Ours was backed by gold. Ours was backed by gold. Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution. It was backed by gold. It was backed by sovereignty. What happened to our gold? What happened to the wealth? It's the same thing that happened to the food. It disappeared. Where's the food? When you look at a watermelon and you don't see any seeds in there, it sparks a question. The curiosity kicks in. Say, well, where's the food? Where's the real watermelons? It's just a small example. Where's the water? Why the water has fluoride? Why do the water has a chemical agent present in the water? Who put it in the water? Where's the water? Then you start to see the anarchy, the chaos, the frivolousness, and every component. Every component. If the food is fake, and your first obligation is to survive, self-preservation, you got to be able to eat. You got to have access to the nutritional resources that's available. Where's the food? Where is the food? So if the food is fake, Everything else is fake. Where is the people? I used to go to the school board meetings from 2012 to maybe 2020, 2019, 2018, something like that. And it was empty. It was absent of the people. So it was no law and order. Somebody had removed the consciousness of the authority of we the people from the actual people. And then they become a body with no Krishna. They come a body with no soul. So in that absence, it caused what they call a military occupation because of the emergency. There's a national security issue. We have a national emergency. The people are unaware of their authority, and therefore the constitutional law is suspended. It's not being enforced. It's no longer enforced. Why? We the people consciousness is removed. We have no idea of the significance of the terms and conditions of the trust arrangement, trade agreement between the federal government, states government, and we the people. We're unaware of it. And so what happens is if you fail to if you fail to discharge your duties of office, your office is vacant. You deferred your powers and authority onto another for a fee. And you got to be taxed for that. This is what generate the tax because you owe because somebody else had to do your job. And that's how you get placed into an administrative state where now you've been assigned a trustee. And the trustee is responsible for all financial activities. All transfers, anything to do with finance and the property goes through the trustee. Because there's a default on the records. The absolute owners, i.e. the beneficiaries, are absent. And so their silence, their absence constitute consent. It can be construed as consent. Oh, they agreed to this, dog. And law is created from contract. Contract is consent. Could you sign right here? You agree to this? And now that's what's being enforced against the people. You agreed to this. So that's why people was looking up now saying, wait a minute. We've been paying through these agencies that's created from the government. These are governmental, i.e. governmental agencies, some of them. It's been financing just about every operation on the planet. It appears it's being reported, whether it's Ukraine or this nation, that nation, this nation, that nation, this nation, against the beneficial interest of we the people. And so think about that for a minute. We had to been really sleep. So you working hard, 30% of your income is gone in taxes, on top of all the other taxes that's being levied in secret against your interest. So now you're nothing more than a gas station for the planet's activities, good and bad. You're nothing more than fuel. This is the matrix that you're being revealed. We the people are the one. We're Neo. And now you seeing Agent Smith. These are Agent Smith on the screen. And then they got nothing but bots. They didn't control the people's mind through the metals in the food, through the TV, through the radio, through the frequencies. This was all explained in They Clone Tyrone. Go back and look at They Clone Tyrone. How are they? You talking about BLM? You talking about all these little Antifa groups, this group, that group? They really are bots controlled through frequencies. Don't believe me? Go look up Jamie Foxx movie, They Clone Tyrone. And then they even got a name for it in real time. They were like drill music. It's referred to as drill music or R&B or this, that, and this. But make no mistake about it, when you go into the origin of the term music, sound, tone, frequency, you're going to come to the same conclusion that these people have been using these devices to manipulate and hypnotize the people, because that's the first overthrow. We the people is been overthrown. Everybody else is in a representative capacity. So if your representative has been decapitated, meaning they've either sold out, right, etc., or have been inefficient, you understand me? Then the people have been inefficient. The people have no voice. We sent my man out here. I give you even a better example. When I was looking at the FEC commissioner, the chairwoman or whatever, when I was looking at that report and looking at basically what they were saying was that President Trump doesn't have any authority over the FEC. And then I seen when they was dealing with the Federal Reserve, and they asked the chair, Commissioner Powell, if Trump asked him to resign, would he? He basically was saying that they don't have any authority over the Federal Reserve. And so it warrants us to go and look into, right? We have to put the Federal Reserve, and then we have to put the FEC, the Treasury, and every other department under review. You know, what led to these outcomes? What led to us, we the people, not having authority over the federal, over every single connection, contractor, department, elected official, department, agency, program, project, contractors, contracts, everything that moves funded by tax dollars? How do we don't have control over that? So that means somebody else is the beneficiary. That means we don't have absolute title over the estate in question. So that causes for a real president of the republic. We're talking about versus the deep state, the administrative state, the bureaucratic state, or U.S. democracy. Or U.S. democracy. We don't align with we align with the republic. This is a constitutional republic. So now we have, what many is saying, the 19th president of the constitutional republic. Like, even when they were signaling in one of his speeches where you had the 19 flags without the gold fringes around it, which signals military occupation due to the national security crisis. What generated the national security crisis is that we the people fell asleep, and we forgot the history of the United States. We forgot about the Constitution. That's what this issue is about. Go back into the Constitution. Go back to the history, the origin, what was going, because that's what they did, and that's what they do in order to keep this operation, this mean machine of money laundering and human trafficking and lawfare, the legal abuses that we the people suffer from under the color of law. Look it up. Look up 18 United States codes. Go under color of law, and there's an entire chapter entitled and then go into the definition, go into Black's Law 4th edition or any edition. And all of this information is available, right? And there's a collective consciousness that arises. So, well, people say, well, wait a minute, what? So now you don't say what happened, but you know what happened to get us to this point where we at right now, where we got a society of people who have adopted an anti-constitutional mind frame while under contract to serve at the will and pleasure of the American people secured via the Constitution and the oath of office and the scope of authority and the financing that was accepted via by way of taxes. So we got you under contract, we got you touching the money, and but yet your principles, your actions have been anti-constitution, anti-we the people. And you done moved us into an authoritarian capacity where we're the objects of the rule of a few, democracy, mob rule. And that's what we have uncovered in every single part of our way of life. And these are the facts. The leaderships are corrupt. And that's why if you go back to my speech I gave when I ran in 2021, I said that. I was signaling to the people there was no premise, there was no support for poverty, there was no evidence that supported the high crime rates. It was no support and evidence that supported the decline in the school district. It was all a scam. It was all a money laundering operation. I've worked with the children up close and personal from 2012 to 2020, really to date, but at a mass capacity of 200 plus children under our program or participating in our enrichment activities, our youth center enrichment activities that we provided because the city was bankrupt. But we had to construct a pipeline of enrichment activities so the youth can have a chance to develop and compete on a global scale. They should be afforded the same resources as the surrounding communities. We got Beverly Hills 10 minutes down the road. We got Bloomfield Hills. We got some of the richest cities, wealthiest cities in the world in Oakland County, Michigan. So what do you mean there's room for poverty? It didn't make sense. What do you mean there's room for hardships? It just didn't make sense. What do you mean there's a homelessness crisis, an economic crisis, an educational crisis, a financial crisis, bankruptcy of the school district, bankruptcy of the city of Pontiac? How? What happened? We have to put these things under review so we can understand how do we get to this particular destination, and that's been unfavorable to the people that we serve. Actually, it's been unfavorable to our future. Our present conditions have a significant impact and effect on the wealth and security when you look at the future. So these things have to be addressed. Why haven't they been addressed? Because this is an organized operation. This is an organized operation. This is intentional to decapitate, to decimate, to commit acts of genocide and through many different forms on a particular group of people. Look at this demographic here in the city of Pontiac. So we know the results of these policies, of these anti-American policies, fueled, supported, enforced by a particular party, DNC, and the Uni Party. So it don't matter which side of the aisle you sit on, all three branches of government, including the agencies, the media, it's all being exposed. We've been funding this stuff all over the world through the media. So the media has been some of the biggest recipients of anti-American policies funds. These funds was used to target the American people's sovereignty, their physical and mental health, and their wealth, to cipher their wealth. That's how we're viewing it. This is the only way to view it. Why do you have such increase in poverty? Because it generates additional grant funding aimed and targeted at that poverty, those poverty rates. We got to decrease those poverty rates in the city of Pontiac. Okay, so now some NGO, nonprofit, has what appears to be the plan, the program. But when you really start digging down deep, these are the same programs that's been around for 30 years, and that has caused the bankruptcy. The conditions never got better. So how is it that they're still receiving funding, whether it's the same group or they change the name to the spinoff groups? Who are the people negotiating these terms? What is happening here? This is an organized operation. And it's really not hard to see. You just got to be asleep. So if you're asleep, you're dreaming, and everybody's talking about the American dream. I'm laughing. I'm saying the American dream. It's like we going from high school to prison. Why? Why is that normal? How are we going to high school to prison? How is it that if you look at the numbers, it's an alarming numbers of Americans being prosecuted for bearing arms? How? I'll raise the question, how? How am I being arrested, prosecuted, and convicted for exercising my Second Amendment right? That's secure. That's a secure right, guaranteed right, a protected right, a God-given right, an unalienable right, meaning that it can never be taken away right. Explain that to me. How did his son get off? So you put this, that's an anti-American policy being enforced in the judicial branch. How? It's done under the color of law. Color of law means artificial law. It's not constitutional law. So that they set up the courtroom to make it look like a real court of law, a court of record operating under the Constitution, contrary to the 14th Amendment. That's why they're going in here with these misracial classification. If you go to the court docket, the documents to identify the parties, they say here hit you with a fake race a fake race classification, and they got on here African American or black. That's color of law. As soon as you say African American, that's two continents. Okay, so when you arrive in Africa, you have to identify which nation you are a part of so we can take you to your nation, to your country of origin. That's the result of nationality. So you can't be black. That's not a nationality. You can't be African American. That's two colors. You got to ask yourself. The first rule at law is what? Status. Status is established through the identifying of the parties. How did you identify a person as African American black? As soon as you say that, you operate under the color of law. You have removed yourself from constitutional protection and you unaware of it, because the Constitution is the free national Constitution. It was prepared for all free national beings. So you can't be black. That connotes a color. So therefore, color of law is now active. Oh, look up color of law. That's what you got to know. That's a federal, as federal laws. Look up color of law. Google it right now. Don't waste time. It's important. How are you prosecuted for? And that's the problem with what I'm saying. That's a genocidal system, anti-American system, anti-constitutional system. An American cannot be prosecuted, you understand me, convicted, of exercising his or her secure rights under the Constitution. Why? Because everybody, the judge, the prosecutors, everybody, attorney, the court officers, U.S., everybody has an oath, verbal and written, to uphold, defend, support the Constitution, period, of the state and of the United States, period. It's nothing to talk about. So how is this able to get done? Who put that judge in there? Who put that? That prosecutor is actually a district attorney or attorney general, state, federal, whatever. It doesn't matter. The Constitution is supreme. They had to take an oath, verbal and written. They had to swear on it. And that had to be bonded and insured. So there's an insurance policy attached to each and every individual operating, and the agencies operating in a representative government capacity. So you got to ask for the insurance. You can FOIA that. Where's the risk management at? Because that's what we got to talk about with Joe Biden and that and those anti-American. This is, you got to ask yourself, how did we get here? Because my father taught me, my stepfather. My stepfather taught me that all politics is local. So we look at macro and micro when we put this thing under a quantitative review. We say, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? How is it happening? And then that was exposed to the USAID and other various agencies and the connection to the nonprofits to keep American communities destabilized, because it don't make sense. And making America great again, you have to take that to the dictionary. You got to take that what does that mean to me in the 21st century, make America great again? Well, what it means to me is that coming out of a city, this is the experience, coming out of a city of Pontiac for 25, 30 plus years, native of Detroit, biological father is convicted, sent to prison. 31 years. End up in the city referred to as Pontiac, Oakland County, Michigan. Mother's a life career Democrat, served 12 years on the school board, served community activist 30, 40 years. Her husband, 36 years, politician, city council, etc. Okay. This shapes my personality. This is what I see. When we talk about make America great again, I've seen the city of Pontiac go from a world city where everybody in the world want to come to and come on tour, come to down the street from Detroit, casinos. We got the Pistons, we got the Lions, we got the Silver Dome, we got the Phoenix Center, we got the airport, we got the railway, we got the waterway, we got the highway, we got the big three. We got everything sitting right here. Now, fast forward 40 years later. What is the state of the city of Pontiac 40 years later? How many children is down at risk? How many times do people have to deal with drive-by shootings, drug activity? Children going from high school to prison, high school to poverty. Wait a minute. Whoa. How did we go from a world city to not even on the map? We don't have the airport. We don't have the sports teams. We don't have the Silver Dome. We don't have the. I'm a former member of the community, but my point is, I gave 35 plus years to this reality, and from 2012 to date, did my own investigation on how did we get here? Who's been in control? Who's been the ruling class? The DNC. The whole thing is Democratic ran. Everybody's a Democrat, in short. Everybody. And if you ask the people, my age and under, you say, well, what's going on? Their parents were Democrats. So this is a traditional thing. The women, what's your take on your actual experience? It's shaped by their former experience, what they grew up in, the leaders of their household. So it's hard to break free from that hypnosis state. And so this is a conditioning. This is an engineered conditioning. So there's no independent thought. There's no room to grow for entrepreneurs. It's all circled up. If you're not in this circle, this small circle, then that little circle, then they guys, and all these little circles is controlling the outcomes and the increase in incomes for their own pockets. So they're controlling the inflows and outflows. The school district is failing. It should have died. We should have made sure we put the nail in the coffin and open it up for who has the best ability to produce services at this level, what we require, what is the goals and objectives for the community financially, economically, etc. Yeah, had that level of intelligence in there. Why? This was an operation. So the same thing that was being done to the city of Pontiac and many cities like Pontiac, Michigan, now they want to push, or we've been seeing, well, they've been pushing that not only on the Pontiac, but the country as a whole, and then nations around the world. This is an agenda. This is an agenda. They actually, it kind of makes crazy sense. I was fighting with the city of Pontiac over my right to my property, and it was crazy because they tried to use an international law to try to, manage my liberties and freedoms and unalienable rights. It was amazing. So we've seen, tons of indicators, evidence, reports, anti-actions, anti-American legislation. We've seen anti-American rhetoric. Anytime somebody telling you don't have a right to bear arms, you're being prosecuted for exercising that right. You're being prosecuted and convicted in a court of law where everybody in there is subject to the Constitution. But your lack of awareness creates a vortex of corruption. And that's really what we've been suffering from. And that's actually what's being brought to light right now. Right now it's being brought to light. How your tax dollars, really your energy, really your wealth, how that is being leveraged against you to tear you down, to weaken your infrastructure of the mind so you can keep being a mindless bot, an artificial intelligence. You forget your origin, your divine and national origin. It's crazy wild right now. And so there's just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of information that's coming out in support of the reports, evidence, and indicators for us. We like the inspector generals. You know what I'm saying? We're the real constitutional watchmen. And not just watchmen, we're the enforcers of it's our job. We're the custodians of the law, as we say in Moorish science. We're the Moorish Americans. We right there at the beginning. In the beginning, there was the Moors. There's no such thing as Black and African American peoples. Out of your mind. What is your national origin, or what we refer to in law as what is your nationality? It's really quite simple. It's not. So you got to go into we talked about that in another podcast. We talked about the Racial Integrity Act. And the reason why it's important, look at when it was created, look at the time period, the timeline, and then fast forward it to now, and look at the significant impact and effect it had on the world. This massive cover-up that supported and created a massive corrupt system of money laundering, human trafficking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This truth thing is not going to stop. Because what it is, they've been putting layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of misinformation, disinformation to keep you distracted. You were asleep. We were asleep. Right? And we go in here, you're like, man, yeah, man, you look around, you ask your neighbor, you like, Hey man, what's your felony for? A gun. I got a gun case. How you get a gun case and you got a right to bear arms? Oh, I didn't even know that. That's for white people. No, that's for Americans. See, the mind went color. The mind went color of law. Why? Because the schools is teaching that. Wherever school that person went to, wherever household that person grew up in, that was the indoctrination. The indoctrination wasn't on wealth, civics, entrepreneurship, financing, history. No, not that. No. They wanted to produce a certain kind of citizen that produces a certain kind of trillions of dollars in profit that and all of that wealth is going to a particular class or a particular group of people. That's money laundering, that's human trafficking, and that is genocide. Why are we not teaching these group of people the same thing that the Catholic schools is teaching their children? The history, world history, factual history, not some made up stuff. See, this was an operation. This was an operation. That's why we applaud President Trump for getting rid of the Michigan, not the Michigan, but the Department of Education, because it's why are we financing frivolous conduct and failing systems? You take that debt and obligation, the states got to deal with their stuff. Y'all got to figure it out. You got to hold somebody accountable to bring our American youth into the 21st century of operation. They have to compete globally, and they can't run around here talking about no color stuff. They got to have national pride. That's for our national sovereignty. They got to be knowing that they're Americans. You're American. Now, what's your national descent? Right? I'm Moorish American. So let's take a look at this, and then we'll be right back.
Where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it, where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the detail.
In other words, Biden does not want Ukraine asking for more money from Trump. Doing so would cause Trump to look into the details.
So anything you can do to push the Privat Bank to closure so that the IMF loan comes forward, I would respectfully suggest is critically important to your economic as well as physical security.
Critically important for economic and physical well-being. Biden goes mafia?
Hat tip OAN.
To get in the position where he thinks and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before to get in the
So, just in that little snippet, we start to get what we just looked at was a collection of data that's been maintained, right, throughout all of the distractions, right? So we got because everything else was basically like a cover up, a distraction. That's what it was. It was a distraction operation to keep the American public looking in this direction instead of looking over here, because they really were projecting. Okay, Trump's a criminal. He's this, he's that. He's done this and that. He's done this. He's racist. He's racist. That's a code. That's a code word for all of the bots, all of the agents set up throughout the nation. And that's the code word. When they say he's a racist, then they push that on everybody. And they already got the people conditioned to respond to that the way they did. So they're able to mobilize, basically, their little armies. That's the code. He's racist. And then they paint that narrative through every mainstream media outlet, and then all of the institutions that's opted in is pushing that. And so the people become, and then that's the frequency that's out there. Then we cling on to it because we've been conditioned for that. You know what I'm saying? So spiritually, mentally, we cling on to that, and then now we're activated. Now we're taking a negative position, and we're blindsided. We can't see the whole story here. We can only see the direction that we've been pulled into because we've been conditioned that way. So what they did, they said, you know what, we're not going to be emotional about this. We're going to maintain this data, and we're going to get through this. And when we get in position, we're gonna bring this data that we've maintained back to the forefront for the American people to have an opportunity to see this thing holistically. Here's what's actually been going on. So we put everything under review. We sent Doge in, and then you sync the reaction, not a response. You sync their reaction. And then you see the tactic, which is already been identified as a tactic. Okay, and this is how they've been able to overthrow and topple governments all around the world, and now it's been exposed because they did it on American soil. And the question is, well, really, we come to find out with the JFK files is that no, this been going on. And really, if you think about Lincoln, it's been going on, right? This been going on. And so we got to look at that from a capacity of having an open mind, a mature, because that shows maturity, and say, okay, well, we can give the American people some more data. We can give them, they're at a capacity now where they can take the information. They have to, even if it's forced on you, you have to know the truth because you're a part and parcel of this said government. You're a part of the solution or you're a part of the problem. And so you can't run from this. No adult, no American can run from this. Everybody has a divine and national obligation as Americans to look at this with both eyes and both ears. We gotta examine the information. It's gonna be painful, but it don't have to be painful. Why does truth have to be painful? We made some mistakes. We were put under a hypnosis. So you get a discount there. We know about the hypnosis programming through television, through the entertainment, through Hollywood. We know about the CIA operations in there. We know about this massive trick to create a dual reality. One is constitutional and one is color of law. And you're participating in either one. And so this is the return of the republic, the constitutional republic, the rule of law, the supremacy clause, the gold clause, the right to contract, meaning the right to consent clause, the American people first clause. And I know it may be some controversy around the Israel project and the official stance of the president with that. However, if we focus directly on cleaning up our issues, it's been they've doing a marvelous job. It's one out of 10. I mean, 9 out of 10 in the first 3 weeks, and that's just my opinion of it. Do I agree with your stance on Israel? Of course not. I don't agree with any kind of war, violence, murder, death, kill of people, period. I like the statement when the president said months ago, I want people to stop dying. And I mean that all over the world. How do we get to that focus? So 9 out of 10, because what we're doing is we're continuously putting out the information on how we even got to these points, to these pressure points, what I'm calling pain points. How do we get to these pain points? How do we get in the Middle East? What led us here? What kept us here? How do we get over here? What led us here? What kept us here? Where's the pot of money? Follow the money. So as we follow the money and we keep finding out these inappropriate, unlawful, unconstitutional appropriations that support an anti-American agenda, meaning it don't support the wealth of Americans, the safety of Americans. What are we doing here? What are we doing putting, you know what I'm saying? What are we, and then we kind of, and I think some of the greatest points out right now is the ones with, when we're finding out we don't have control, when they making public statements saying, no, they don't got control. What do you mean we don't have control? This the executive branch? How the executive branch how the president don't have control of the executive branch? So the majority of Americans voted for Trump and gave Trump the mandate and the agenda. We agree with peace. That's what we agree with peace. Peace through strength means strength is intelligence. It's the exercise of wisdom. That's what strength means, not bullets and bombs. No, it means intelligence, the exercise of wisdom. Okay, that's what we mean by peace through strength. Exercise through wisdom, bringing people together to solve problems, period. Bringing people together to solve problems. The law is peace. Peace is law. And so that's what the American people sent the mandate. We raising our family. We want to focus in on our problems. We want to do exactly what we're doing right now, and that's cleaning the body of all of the toxins. We detoxing right now, so we're not sending money over here, and it's not nothing personal. It's a reality that we cannot be nearly $40 trillion in debt, and we see no growth and an increase in growth and prosperity for the American people. We see a decline. The American people is feeling and experiencing a decline. And in this rapid turnaround, in this rapid transition, it's going to appear, because of the narrative that they're still in control of partially, it has the ability to make it appear that that you're experiencing such great pain. And that's really just not true. What it is that operations that's been empowering and making everybody else comfortable off our back has come to an end. And so when you're listening to the media or reading the paper, you can rest assured that they took money to say that from a government. So from our government through USAID and other various fractions. And so they took a government check to say a government script and was fed a government script. So that's why you see the unilateral conduct through most of the mainstream. And that's been maintained. These records has been maintained. So it ain't just like the media is on the hook. No, y'all wasn't a free press. Y'all was given a script that was anti-American, right? Anti-constitutional, anti-truth. You lied to the American people. You used propaganda against the American people, and it was financed by our tax dollars. No, you got a right to know about that because you made decisions. Millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of Americans made decisions based off information that came out of your news station. People believed you. So you breached the trust of the American people. So what some intelligent people did was they maintained the records. So now when we get in power, we can release the intelligence declassified, put all the pieces in the puzzle to the American people because they were along for the ride. So we end up leveraging mainstream media because we knew that they were corrupted, and we use that for moments like what you're seeing right now. And in other words, remember this, November 16th, 2016. Here's the phone call from Joe Biden to the head of the Ukraine and telling this, hey man, look, I need you guys to do this because Trump get in there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're gonna find out. They're gonna find out, and you're gonna take a hit. Y'all gonna take a hit. Everybody's gonna be in trouble here. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. And that's basically what they're pushing. And so now they got to get it out in front of the American people. We got Pam Bodie in place. We still wait on the director to get in and RFK to get in because these are significant components to curing the pain points, right? To curing the pain points because this all interconnected. This was an intergovernmental operation to it, that, and that's what's so crazy wild right now that forget the conspiracy theory podcast. This thing is live. This thing is live. This is in real time. It's like the United States presidency has become a podcast. Like, yeah, whenever you got the president being a conspiracy theorist, is it conspiracy theory at this point? Absolutely not. This is declassified information that was classified. It was operations in operation that was against the will of the American people and an attack on our Constitution. It was done from within. And it was a lot of people that had their hands on it. And how it was done from within is why you seeing our approach towards nations on the earth, because we know about your participation in the attack on the American people. So thank you all for joining us this morning. We will be back for more information. We'll see you soon. Stay safe and stay informed. Peace.